you to do Biden. Now we done lost a damn vote. We done lost a vote. That's gonna go to Trump. God damn.
I mean, when you mention black people, you mentioning black women. So don't count yourself out.
No, that's not true.
It's been a while, so I'm not going to make this really too long. It's been in my head for a minute, so we might as well do a brain dump, so to speak. I was thinking about submission in black women because it always comes up, but it's come up just like a cycle's come up regularly again. And I realize how badly black men really want it from their women, as we want to put it. And what prompted this particular video is that actually one of my female subs actually put in one of my old videos about black female submission, and the submission they want is yours. They're not going to submit. But she actually said something that she said, I disagree with you. They don't just not submit to their men. Black women don't really submit to anything, at least anything that was within her realm. And she was 100% right. I couldn't argue with any of the points that she made. And not only do they not submit to their men, okay, they don't submit to being parents to the children that they produce. In fact, to the point where they do the absolute bare minimum of actually being a parent. And they're constantly looking for a way to push off their responsibility as a parent, as a mother, onto somebody else, onto a wider group. They try to share the responsibility of the child with the whole group. They don't even want to submit to the growth of the child by giving the child to the better parent. They'd rather die than give up that kid to their father. They would. So they don't even submit to practicality. Well, like she was saying, that if they submitted to just simply to the school system, and we don't have the best school systems for black kids. Okay, they don't submit to making sure the kid does the homework. They don't make sure that the kid submits to reading 30 minutes a day. They don't submit to being part of the PTA. They don't submit to actually going to parents' conferences. So they don't submit to lots of different things that are in the society. They don't submit. Black women do try to manipulate things. They will feign submission to manipulate a circumstance in their favor. Like, I think Black Mind said it. He said, black men didn't leave black women. They didn't abandon black women. Black women left because, according to black women, black men weren't up to snuff. They didn't bring in enough resources and goodies. Much easier to get it from the state. Or it's much easier to have the state chase after the man for child support and a check. So even though they claim that they submit to a power, they really don't. They manipulate their submission to get a reward. They do. And so that brings me back to the original thought that I had about black women. They do not submit. They don't have a submissive bone in their body. Black women do what they're forced to do in an environment, in a circumstance. So even what we see what's going on right now, okay, now they have to figure out how to perform submission, even though that's not natural to them, even though it's not something that they even want to do. In fact, they roll their eyes. Oh, I got to submit to these Negroes because I need a future. I got to figure out how to submit to this man, or pretend how to submit to this man to fool him long enough so I can be under his guidance and protection. I have to pretend to go along with what he's talking about, even though I'm the one secretly I'm the one in control. And so I have to find enough performance, enough ways to trick him, to fool him, to make him think that he's in charge. Hear that all the time. So my thing is that I know it's important to black men. I know it's important according to what you've been taught, the way that you've been taught. The relationships are supposed to be able to go. And that black female submission, the reason you're not getting it is not because that she doesn't submit or can't submit or won't submit, is because that you're inadequate. That's what they keep telling you, because that's what they want you to believe. That if you try hard enough, you bend hard enough, you work hard enough, you work enough hours, you provide them with a good enough lifestyle, get their kids out of the ghetto, get their kids to a middle-class suburb, then that wife is going to submit. She's going to make you happy. She's going to be agreeable. I mean, most black men, they haven't been trained to have a submissive wife or submissive woman. That's foreign to them. What they want is an agreeable wife, an agreeable woman. And that's what we really should be talking about instead of freaking submission. That black patriarchy is the way. There's never been a black patriarchy in the United States. In fact, what we consider a patriarchy, a real one, a real European solid patriarchy, started dying before slavery ended. In fact, the European male patriarchy started dying before this country became a country. So that pipe dream that I don't even know who sells it to you. And I do believe it's the women that are selling it to you. A lot of stuff I hear is that a lot of that stuff is basically replication of female talking points. Because if you think paying the cost to be the boss, funding her $100,000 lifestyle or better is going to get you submission, you can't get submission from a creature that doesn't know how, that doesn't have it in her fiber. And we should start talking about what we really want, or what we really will accept, which is an agreeable wife, which is an agreeable woman. Blowing her back out, having her fall in love, being her alpha is not going to get you necessarily agreeable woman. And I've had more than my share of women that fell in love with me and knew that they loved me. And guess what? They still weren't agreeable. One is because black women are taught to be disagreeable to their men. That is a feature. That is a fortitude to them. That's a point of pride that you can tell your man off, that you can tell your husband off, that you can talk back to your husband. That's supposed to be fun. To women, that's fun. Oh, I told him, I talked back to him, and we disagreed about this, and I turned my head, and blah blah blah, and this went on and stuff like that. That is companionship to them. Far from submission. That's just being downright agreeable. But even having an agreeable wife, having an agreeable wife is so foreign to black women that if you find a woman that is agreeable, it's agreeable to her husband, not necessarily submissive, but agreeable. Because according to what black women think, being agreeable is submissive. Submissive is when you disagree and you keep your freaking mouth shut and you do it anyway. That's submissive. I'm doing it because my husband told me I need to do it. Do you agree with it? No, I don't agree with it. But he's my husband. I'm going to do it because that's what he wants. That's submissive. That's not black women. Black women get to the point where, is he paying the bills? Yes. Is he taking care of you? Yes. Is he giving you a lifestyle? Yes. Is he paying the cost to be the boss? Yes. Well, then all this stuff is going on and it's right. What's your issue? I just don't want to be agreeable. I don't want to think him to think that I'm soft. How far has it gotten to where used to pass or submissiveness, which black men always knew that the woman was never submissive to you. But at the end of the day, back in the day, she was, if you were doing what you're supposed to do, she's going to be agreeable most of the time. She knew what her duties were. She performed them according to the agreement that you had. That's her being agreeable. We don't have submissive women. The best that we can hope for is agreeable women. And nowadays, that is so rare that even when things are going good, women think they need to push back on the direction of things just because they need to push back on it, just so they don't seem like a pushover. I didn't feel I was heard. Remember this, and this is not new. There's an old song by Natalie Cole called "I'm Catching Hell," and this is in the 70s. This is almost 50 years ago, and she was saying that she had a good man. And they were doing all the practical stuff, paying the bills, paying the mortgage, raising the kids, everything that was in order and needed to be done. And she wasn't submissive, but she was agreeable. It was very practical, it's very logical, it's very standard, that okay, that what they're doing is working, and all I have to do is agree with the pattern, that with the direction that the thing that the family's going in. So all I got to do is agree. Guess what she said she did? She said, no, I had to be heard. I had to challenge him. I had to be disagreeable just to be disagreeable until she lost him, which is what normally happens with black women. They challenge it because they're bored. They want to be heard. They want to be a equal partner. They don't want to seem like a pushover. And their man is looking like, what the hell are you talking about? It's working. You're happy. You're supposed to be happy. We're happy. It's according to what we planned out and it's mapped out and everything's working. What's wrong with you? And to the point where you're going to challenge him so much where it doesn't work anymore. And everything's in chaos. And he just throws up his hand and he leaves. And then you got to nag him for 2 years because you're trying to get him to come back while saving your pride. And then the next 2 or 3 years, you're bitter with him because he won't come back. He won't be with you. And then you got to figure out how you're going to get the next guy. And maybe, just maybe, if you can get the same deal that the first guy cut, maybe, just maybe, you won't challenge him anymore. You won't screw things up just to screw things up. Or spend the next 30 years of your life being miserable because you want to be right. When all you had to do in the first place is be agreeable. Not submissive, but agreeable. But anyway, I kind of went far afield, kind of went on a slight rant. What I want to say is not necessarily to the women, because women are who they are. They are who they're trained to be by their mothers. They've long time since decided they wanted rather would be a partner in a dysfunctional relationship than a wife in a functional one. And we keep throwing out the word submit, and they keep spitting it back at us like it's a cuss word. And to them, I agree with them. Submission is a cuss word. It's so foreign to them that you might as well put poison in their belly first. And we need to stop using the word submit and put agreeable in its place. Because really, at the end of the day, that's really what all you can really expect out of a black woman is it's not submission, because it's not in their bones. It's not in their DNA. All you can really expect out of black women is agreeableness. Can she be an agreeable wife? Can she be an agreeable girlfriend? Can she be an agreeable mate? Can she perform enough duties? Can she perform enough cooperation to become a decent, agreeable woman to you? And for far too many in the West, that answer is probably no. So stop trying to wait on these women to be forced to be submissive. That's never going to happen. At best, you can say the environment will force women to be more agreeable. Hell, even for them to be even freaking humble is like an act of God. So I'm saying about black women, they are who they are. 12 generations is built into them. You're not going to dig that out. Everybody keeps pretending like we don't know who these women are and what they're about. We do know exactly who they are and what they're about. Now, our strategy about how we're going to use them to be some kind of building material is a different story. I hear a lot of guys, that's what they're actually trying to project. Okay, how can you make something out of these women? How can you pick through the, let's just say it. How can you pick through the garbage and find something good that's worthy enough for you to put in enough time and effort into to have an agreeable wife? Not submissive, agreeable. Submission doesn't exist in the American black female. It doesn't. So how can you take the material that you have and make something out of it, if that's what you wish? And you start by accepting the nature of the material. The nature of the material that you're using, which is black women, is not submissive. It's not pliable like that. It's just not. You have to accept it in the form that it's in. And we got to be adult enough and men enough to accept that's who they are. Now, if you choose to accept the mission of trying to make this woman into an agreeable wife or agreeable mate for you, then you know what you have to put up with. You're going to have to put in a whole hell of a lot of work and spend a whole hell of a lot of money. You're trying to make a Toyota Corolla into a Bugatti. Trying to make a compact car into a race car. Can it be done? Yes, it can be done, okay? With a lot of luck, accepting the limitations of the build and amount of money that you have to pour into it to make it get up to a minimum standard to get on a racetrack. You have to put way more money into it. It is really not about trying to win a race. It's proof of concept. Can you do it? Can it be done? Even though it's way more expensive and way harder to do it, instead of just buying a race car out of right off the block. That's built to do what it does. And I think black men need to grow up. These are the women that you have, if you want to call them your women. These are the limitations that they have. And you got to decide whether the assets that they bring, which is independence, if that's what you want, which is an independent mindset, if that's what you want, you got to weigh that in. Is that actually worth what you're getting on the other side? Because no black woman is submissive. They just aren't. So you need to get what you need out of her. And she needs to demonstrate that you can get what you need out of her before you invest all that money into it. But anyway, it's my first talk in a while, and I wanted to go on way too long. In fact, it's gone on longer than I have expected. But I am going to hit the button and cut it off here. And as my standard closing, this is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.